Hello, how are you? How many of you responded, it could be better? Because not one person in this world is at 100%. Everyone has something that could be better. But we usually don't admit that. Because in order for us to admit that, there is a part of us that would have to admit the same thing too. And that's our ego. And our ego cannot admit that. Or at best he will admit that, or he does that a lot of the time, but that's when he can blame the circumstances. But if you want to improve yourself, no matter the circumstances, then you have to admit that you can be better. And how can ego admit that? He was in charge of your life since birth, more or less. His task was to remember everything, learn everything, figure out everything, decide everything. He cannot admit that he did something wrong, because he has to have control. His task is so difficult that if he would admit that he does not have control, it would be a disaster for him, and it would be a disaster for you, and he doesn't want that. He cares about you. It's one of his tasks to do that. But don't go now and confront your ego by telling him that it is his fault that you are not okay. Technically it's his fault, but in reality it's not. Because it's your fault that he was in charge of everything. And even that is your technical fault. But in reality it was the society that was telling you all the time that this is how it has to be. Because for the society nothing else exists. For the society, humans are brains. Brain equals ego. So the society doesn't admit that we have intuition, that we have sixth sense, that we have a heart that knows things. So when you approach the ego, tell him that you love him, you respect him, that you are grateful for everything that he has done, because he has done a lot, far more than it was his job. Because he was not constructed, he was not born to do all that. Ego is the one that grounds us in this reality, but ego is an explorer, an enjoyer. Ego is something that we need, but ego is not the one that should have all the responsibility for our life. Ego is not the one that should make all the choices. That's not his job. So instead of accusing our ego, we should help him. Tell him, we are where we are. I appreciate everything you've done for me, but let me present to you my heart, my sixth sense, my intuition. Let us work together for my benefit. but for your benefit as well. When I was training my ego to trust my heart and my intuition, I was doing it in a perhaps silly way. When I'm listening to music, I'm usually playing solitaire. And solitaire is a game where a lot of times you can play different moves and you don't know which move is the right one because the cards that will be played next are hidden. So I said to my ego, don't think, let the intuition play. And the intuition was usually right. I won many more games just by playing by intuition. And my ego was relaxed because we did not do anything important, anything life-changing or life-threatening. So maybe you can persuade ego to listen to your heart, your intuition, your sixth sense, however you want to call it. When you are doing simple choices, what's going to be for lunch tomorrow? What dress should I wear? Some choices that don't change much. And when he'll learn to trust your heart with those choices, then you can step up the game and let your heart decide more important thing in life. And it's not that your ego will then feel like he is left out, that he does not have anything to do anymore. Its primary job, beside the one that is grounding you to this reality, his primary job is to explore and to enjoy. And now he will have the time to do that. And if he will be joyful, you will be more joyful too. And you will make right decisions because the heart knows, and you will be joyful in between, in everyday life, because your ego will be eager to explore and enjoy life. And he will be ready to explore possibilities that he did not consider till then. So if I say consider everything, a serious person who only relies on his ego would say, I don't have to consider anything because I know everything. And he has to say so, even if not out loud, because his ego must always validate himself, and he can not let other information, other opinions undermine his validation about himself. But a person who uses his heart and his ego at the same time, such a person would say, okay, let me hear your opinion, let me hear this information, because only when I consider other information, other opinions that I don't have at the moment, only then I can really grow. And I don't know up front what is a good information and what is not, That's why I must consider every information. But I will tell you something else. At the same time, don't believe in anything. And that don't believe in anything has different aspects. One is, even if you should consider everything else, so everybody's opinion, everybody's theories about stuff, you don't have enough time in your life to listen to everybody else. So I would suggest that as a first filter, you use your heart. Your heart will tell you if something is just not right for you, and it will tell that to you with feelings. If something doesn't feel right, if something doesn't vibrate, don't bother with it. Then the second filter is your ego, your brains. You should consider what the other information is telling you, what the other person is telling you with his opinions, but you just consider that. Don't take it as it is. Always form your own opinions about stuff. Don't believe anybody. Don't believe even yourself. Rely on your opinions more than you rely on other people's opinions, because if the opinion is wrong, at least it's your opinion. Take into consideration everybody's opinion, everybody's information, but don't believe in anything. This is tricky. We use the word believe in many different circumstances. For example, if I say I believe that tomorrow it's going to be a sunny day, it's perfectly fine, because if my source that is usually right is saying that tomorrow is going to be a sunny day, it's nothing wrong if I believe that it's going to be so. But if someone believes that there are no aliens visiting our planet, then he will not listen to any argument or want to see any evidence that suggests otherwise. So it is not good for a person to believe in anything. But how can we live if we don't believe in what we believe in? Well, I say usually that I feel something very close. And to me, this says that at this moment, I do believe that. But in maybe the next moment, if an evidence, if a convincing enough argument will come around that will challenge my beliefs, quote unquote, I'm prepared to change them. So my beliefs are temporary. That's why I don't like using that word, because usually in our world we have people that have permanent beliefs. There are people that believe in God, there are people that don't believe in God, and if the truth is somewhere in between, none of them will reach the truth. But if you are open for everything, if you consider everything, if you don't believe anything, then you can explore this world. You can grow, you can learn, you can adapt, you can be all the time more than you were. That does not mean that you should not have strong opinions. Let's call them beliefs. But you should let those beliefs be challenged all the time. Because if they are true, they will stand the challenge. They will remain there after you scrutinize them. If they are not true, you don't need them. But don't believe anything means another thing also. Trust your opinions more than you trust opinions of others. Because nobody really knows anything important. Even if he does, he cannot prove it. I made a whole video about it. And if we cannot be certain about things that are important in life, then it is better if you are wrong because you came to a wrong conclusion, that you are wrong because you blindly accepted a conclusion of somebody else. So again, help your ego be open to new things. Consider these new things, but only consider them. Don't take them blindly. Always form your own opinions about everything. So my friend, in my videos I will bring to you a lot of information that will sound strange to you. So I would suggest that you consider that information, but that you always form your own opinion about it.